Hello everyone. I'm Suraj. As this is the day 3 of a training session, I've got a couple of questions in the form of assignment. So let's just dive into it. So the first question here is, what is the use of .pam file and why it is required? So here, let's try to understand about PAM file, which is privacy enhanced mail, which was firstly used for privacy of the email transaction, wherein at the present situation, it has been used for the internet security standards, which means it will be storing a key which is associated with the SSL certificate. Here we'll try to understand about SSL. SSL, which means that secure socket layer, which means that if you have the certificate, it means that a site is secure. Here we'll try to talk about HTTP and HTTPS. HTTP is hypertext transfer protocol, whereas without the secure, whereas the HTTPS is hypertext transfer protocol with secure, which means that in HTTP, the transaction or the data communication will be in the form of plain text, which means the third party can easily hack and easily read it. Wherein in HTTPS, it will be in the form of encrypted. It means that it will be encrypted in one computer and it will be decrypted in the other computer or the client, we can say. We can speak a few words about the keys which can be stored in the PAM file. Here the keys are two types, symmetric and we can say public and private. Yeah, the symmetric means that they'll be having a public key, like a person will be having, a device will be having a public key. While communicating, he'll be transferring the public key, which will be in the form of encrypted. And the other person or the other client should be having the public key, which means this public key will be shared between these two, which means the third party, if he gets the public key, he'll be getting the access to everything. Whereas in public and private, we can say that and the public key will be sent in the form of data to the other device, but in other device, they will be having a private key, which means because of this private key only, they can decrypt this encrypted code. So that the third party cannot get the code. If he gets the public key, there is no use. He should be having a private key to decrypt it. So yes, so let's just talk about, so let's just move to the second question, which is, why do we use AWS S3 and why can't we store files, image or static content on EC2 instance? So yes, here we'll try to understand about AWS S3. AWS S3 means AWS or the Amazon Web Service, wherein the S3 means 3 times yes, which means that simple storage service. As the name suggests, it is completely used for storage or the storing of any files, images, or any code if we have written in HTML, CSS, JavaScript, anything. So yes, wherein EC2 instance, which means that Elastic Compute Cloud, which means it is used for computing. That states that it is a device or it is a computer which we will be renting for a high-end application to run or to test the high-end application. Will be using this EC2 instance or the device or server, we can say. So we can store in EC2 instance, but we can say there is a difference between these two, which is EC2 instance, we can consider it as an device or a personal laptop. See, if I'm trying to extend my internal storage, it will be a costly thing to deal with. But if I'm trying to extend my hard disk, my computer will be safe. It will be in the speeded position because the internal is not getting crushed. But the external or the hard disk will be extended and we can store the files easily. So yes, let's just move on to the third question, which is what are non-relational database and what is the major difference between the relational database versus NoSQL? So yes, Here we'll try to understand about database. Database is a device where we can organize and store the data, we can say. And moving on to the relational and non-relational database, we can say that relational database is something which is structured, or it will be in the form of a table, and it will be having a relationship between another table. Like we can say, for example, employee table, which wherein we have the details of employee ID and associated with the job profile. And in another table, we have a department table, which is these both are interrelated. So here we can say this is a relational database. And for no relational database, we can say that it doesn't have any structure, but we cannot say that it is not in a table form. We cannot say this because in NoSQL we have a category which is columnar SQL, which is in the form of table, and it also has a row and column. So this is the first. And then for the major difference, we can say that it will be in the table form, and one table is linked to another through the foreign key, whereas in NoSQL, it will be not in the structured form. It will not be a fixed, we can say. And in NoSQL, we can say it will be in the form of document, which will be easy for developers to type and feed. Whereas also in NoSQL, we can consider graph kind of thing, whereas there is no structure. The graph will be consisting of nodes and edges. These also type of data we can store in the NoSQL. So, okay. So coming to the fourth question, how do we decide whether we should use relational database or NoSQL database? So yes. Okay, so basically we'll be deciding this on the basis that does it require a structured language or structured table form, or if it doesn't require table, or we can say if it is a task to link through the graphs, or to prepare a document, or to prepare some code, or to feed in the code, we need document. Or if we can say there is another difference that the storage in this SQL will be vertical scale, whereas in NoSQL we can say it is horizontal scale. Let's talk about difference between these two, which means that in horizontal means we will be adding one server to another, wherein we can say that the vertical means we'll be extending the server instead of adding new, which means the load on this will be more instead of the horizontal. So yes, these are few features, or these are few points which we can consider while choosing the so these are few points we can consider whether to choose a relational database or NoSQL. So thank you from my end.